Hello all, it's me, Day 9. Today's date, a good date, Tuesday, September 10th, 2013, and this is Day 9 Daily, number 628, where we're going to learn to be a better gamer, thanks to Scarlett, who, by the way, her team just qualified for the SC2L Grand Finals. Oh, yes, that's right. So all of Team Acer is going to be out there in Yonder, Bucharest. Don't know if she's actually going to be there. This is a tangent upon a tangent start to the show. Let's get on to the topic. In today's daily, we're going to be looking at Scarlett's Zerg versus Terran. Scarlett seems to be pretty, I want to say unstoppable, except she got stopped by Bomber. But by all measures is probably top 5 at least ZvT world. Maybe top 3. Certainly one of the utmost best Zerg vs. Terran players ever in an era where all Terran players are really dominating, doing the same mix. Biomine with 3 command center opening. Everything is virtually identical from the Terran side of things, and Zergs are losing more and more and more, except Scarlett, who seems to just crush, just decimate player after player after player. Even Bomber, who wound up 4-0ing Jaedong and rolling through pretty much all the other Zergs on his way to winning the WCS Season 2 championship, Bomber only barely beat Scarlett. Just like inched out a win against Scarlett 3-2. So we're going to be looking at Scarlett's play today. Announcements. I'll be doing a show tomorrow. No show Thursday, no show Friday, because I'll be flying to DreamHack Bucharest, doing commentary at DreamHack Bucharest, and of course doing the SC2L Grand Finals. For some reason I can't remember who the other team is, even though I totally know. You know what, I'm just going to look it up. SC2L, as many of you know, is the league that I've been casting on the weekdays, on Wednesdays. And, oh yeah. Ooh, good. And it went round robin of 8 teams, 8 Western teams, culminating in 2 being sent to DreamHack Bucharest. And the 2 teams are Team Liquid and Team Acer. EG actually fell in 3rd place, losing to Acer. So it's pretty sweet, pretty cool results. Pretty neat. Fun Day Monday. There's no Fun Day Monday this Monday because, again, I'm coming back from DreamHack Bucharest. And that is the you must rush with your first 6 workers in a team game. Can't wait. Can't wait for that. And then next Friday I'm going to keep playing Half-Life, and I think that's it. Going to be playing some Grand Theft Auto 5 at some point in the near future on Day 9's day off because I want to play that. Is there anything else going on? I just want to stall before going into the show. How are you? How are you doing? I want to do this show, but part of me just wants to like hang out and have like a nice casual time. If you're watching on the archives, feel free to just mouse ahead. What's going down? What up the Day Nights? Who's here? Yes, Caster Sugar is asking if I green screen my room. Absolutely. Man Bond feeling a little sick. Hope you feel better. Oh my God, Swarkles, it's your birthday tomorrow. Happy early birthday, Little Big 11, who is the resident trivia man of an ordinary 6-foot stature. See how I snuck that in there? Some tragedies in WCS Europe today. Hurt. That's it. Let's talk about the tragedy of Zerg versus Terran, shall we? To elucidate this tragedy for us, we have a man who's had some recent struggles, the Dong. Now, if you watched some dailies past, you recognize this particular game, where we see Pult bringing the noise, and this is a little while before Jaedong winds up losing to 4th base. And I'm actually going to step to the point of true misery in this moment of the game, just to remind all Zerg players of how much pain they've been in the past. And of course, to elucidate for the other folk who are not the Zerg players where the pain lies. This push, desperately trying to hold it off, trying to withstand all that is the force of Pult, and the non-stop pushing that continues on and on and on and on, slowly breaks through until one day, Jaedong loses the 4th base. See, it's starting to take some damage. More mines burrowing. Oh, and it falls. And of course, while all this is going on, we even have the 4th base well established for Pult, and the other command center going down for Pult. Here's the general look of things. And in fact, I'm going to be pulling back to about the 12-minute mark, if I can pull my slider correctly here, to show the general setup. We'll be going into specific details in a moment, but here is the general moment in time when the biomining begins. Right around 12 minutes, things begin kicking into gear. We have a whole slew of barracks with a ton of reactors. Factory producing widow mines. A second factory soon to be getting upgrades for the widow mines. There's about to be a boatload of barracks all going down in the main base too. And Terrans will almost always have this 3rd base up. Will almost always be pretty well established on the defensive footing of things and be getting ready to kick into gear. On Jaedong's side of the court, we also see a lot of similarities. We see the layer going down already, macro hatch coming up. We see the 1-1 upgrades finished, 2-2 getting ready to get started. See some spore crawlers, other extractors down. And this is like Zerg getting up the defense necessary. Now, why am I showing this game? This seemed as though it was going to be a Scarlet-focused daily. And it is. But to be able to understand what Scarlet's doing so well, we want to see what things are going wrong and what things can be going wrong for Zergs in a game where we see a Zerg lose. And then in part 2 and 3 we're going to be stepping in to see the part 2 and 3 we're going to be stepping into Scarlet versus Bomber to really get an in-depth look of what's going so well. So now that I'm out of water, I want to come back to the early game of this match, rewinding again so we can take a brief peek at the early game. Come on. There it is. Overlord spottings at the front. Mainly going to be focused on Jaedong's side of things. What are the setups that we see out of Zerg? One of the big staples is getting 2 early queens right away with relatively early Zergling speed. The Zergling speed is so that we have some extra backup defense in case he tries to storm the front. 4 queens used to be very, very popular, but it's becoming less popular, especially with the early speed upgrades that everyone seems to be getting. 3 queens feels a little more efficient for a lot of Zerg players because, well, we're going to be going for 3 hatch soon enough, so we may as well get just the single 3rd queen early, and then this 3rd queen will be sent way on over to this hatchery. So, you see, this is the sort of lean Zerg mindset. If I just get this 1 queen, the 3rd queen up a little early, it can pair up with this 3rd hatchery. And then we see Jaedong getting ready to start the mining of all sorts of things. A little while before the 7-minute mark, that's when things begun being mined again. Sneaking out the 4th queen to continue to spread creep. Again, this is not just 4 queens derp going to spread the creep as fast as possible. This queen is almost ready to move on over to this hatch. This queen is essentially the replacement for the creep queen. So in short, Jaedong's really only been keeping 1 queen on the creep duty. So here's a very important time we want to begin noting. Very common timing. A little after 7 minutes we see Jaedong going for the double evolution chamber. Now Jaedong, in fact, if we go to the Jaedong cam, Jaedong has not really seen that much. He's seen all that he needs to know to begin setting up the defense versus the Biomines. Once the 1-1 upgrades get started, the layer will be getting started. We're seeing Geyser 3 pop down at 8 minutes. The Geyser timings are going to be pretty significant in this daily, just to drop dat infos on you right away. While all this is going on, Jaedong gets a teensy bit distracted by the evolution chamber timings, teensy bit distracted on his Geyser stuffs. But overall, that attack didn't do a lot of damage. Hardly focusing on the specifics of the attack, just want to focus on what's going on build order-wise. Because that's the first thing we're going to contrast that with in Scarlet's gameplay. This is a little bit of a late upgrade, and this too is going to be a little bit of a late upgrade. But all in all, not significant damage dealt. 9-minute layer. These upgrades will be going down before then. That's about all I really need to focus on regarding that timing. There's the 1/1's going down, mass drones coming up, etc., etc., etc. There's a mine that tries to be annoying and all that good jazz. And Jaedong does what I think many Zergs are starting to do more and more and more and more, which is to begin to stockpile up the gas to get the Mutalisks in large number. As the layer's finishing up, almost all the extractors wind up going down. We have the 4 here, we have these 4 here, we have the Spire going down. Jaedong's still getting harassed, and again, as the layer goes down, almost all these extractors pop up. Then the last little piece to the puzzle is this hatchery. And if we look at the queen count, queens have been taking some hits due to these marauder plays, but by and large, it's just relatively good creep spread. We're going to be culminating everything at the 12-minute mark, and then doing a little bit of review to make sure that all these numbers are pounded deep into our brains. Oh, how wonderful. Creeps being spread, things looking good. Things looking, like, even the vision on the minimap looks very, very nice. 2-2 en route. Ooh, Overlord speed coming up. That's kind of a cool little addend. And there we go. Right around the 12-minute mark is this attempted expand. So here is the first half of things that I want to just be taking a look at, because this is a really typical establishment for Zerg. Let's go through it in order. Opening up with 3 queens. Bam! Oh no, the replay's loading improperly. Come on! Come on, replay, work with me. Come on. Come on. Oh my god, that totally ruined my BAM. Okay, there we go. Opening up with 3 queen and some Zergling speed. And moving on to wow, hatch. Excellent. 6 minutes, we have our first set of things to remember. Let's zoom forward a little bit more. 7:30. And again, it wants to seek all cool-like on the minimap. We make sure that we're getting these Evo chambers up for our upgrades, that we're getting 2 gas geysers. So that way we can be a responsible Zerg and get our 1/1 upgrades going, as well as a layer. I'm going to be zooming all the way forward to 11 minutes, just before the Biomine gets kicked into gear. And because I'm super OCD, there we go, right at 11 minutes. The third thing we want to remember. Getting everything else is what I would say, right? All the extractors are down. The Baneling nest. The extra hatch, the macro hatch. The Spire. Here is our build order framework with the creep looking pretty good. Pretty dang good. What have we done just now? We've talked a little bit about what Terrans have been doing, just general Biomine, and we didn't go into too much detail on the Terran Biomine, but we did go into detail on the build order timings from Jaedong. Cool. This gives us sort of foundation to work with, because we've now seen what all the typicalnesses are. For the from the Terran side of things, these are the only things I really want you to keep track of. That he's gonna be doing some Hellion crap at the start, and that around 12 minutes is when the Terran player starts powering into high gear. So let's actually see this happen. 12 minutes is about when the Terran player begins to wrap up with the combat shield, wrap up with the upgrades. It's right around, I would say 12 minutes is when you start having fear struck into your heart. If you are someone like Polt, who is a little more aggressive, it'll be a little later. If you're going to be more passive of a Terran player, this move out will happen a little earlier. But we still see right around 12 minutes is when you begin to see this Biomine move out. So that's why we spent so long talking about before 12 minutes for Zerg. Now, the second half of what I want to talk about before we head into part 2 of the daily and look at how Scarlett succeeds so much is this Biomine control and tactics after the pushing begins. Because I think it's fair to say that once we are up against a pusher as Zerg, we're going to be doing one thing. Macro. Build order-wise, we're not really going to be doing anything unintuitive. When our 1/1 upgrades finish, we get 2/2. When our Spire upgrade's finished, we get the next Spire upgrade. When our queens are ready to inject, we inject. And that's it. I mean, it's just nothing but what you would expect. And then it's all going to come down to control, positioning, and tactics, because all our other decisions have been made for us. We've already set up the number of hatches. We've already set up the units we're going to build. We made all those decisions for the first 12 minutes, which is why I began with those. So we're going to be taking a look at exactly how Jaedong controls this. And we're going to be looking at it in terms of the issues that we are seeing. Actually, I don't want to say issues. I want to more so say the patterns that we are seeing. Because we will contrast these with Scarlett. We're seeing, oh, little counterattacks. Jaedong loves doing these little Zergling counterattacks. He loves doing those. We're not going to see a lot of that out of Scarlett. But man, Jaedong he loves those things. Also, look at the number of banelings that we're seeing out of Jaedong. Quite a lot. Mutalisk count is not as high. We see some banelings managing to get their butts kicked by mines. The majority of them do make it through. And the Mutalisks are being used to pick off medevacs. We have a higher concentration of banelings in terms of our gas expenditure. In fact, let me actually come over here and show you what's going on up here. I mean, burrows going down. We see a lot of lings getting produced. Infestation pit coming up, a couple Mutalisks, but mainly it's going to be lings and banelings. I mean, out of the hatches, we pretty much are building Zerglings when we can and Mutalisks when we can, but in fact, the number of banelings that Jaedong's making, we can just see the effect it's having up here. Not a lot of mutas. In fact, the muta count is at 9. Muta count has never really gotten the chance to climb too high. Now it's at 12. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 12. I mean, lings are being produced en masse. Okay, cool. Specifically, we are just not seeing that many mutas. So I'm going to come back to 1430 when this attack began so we can look a little bit more at on the micro. This is, I think, a very classic play that a lot of Zergs will make. Just a couple of Mutalisks. Again, why? Whoa, holy 8 speed. Holy crap. Why? Mainly to deal with the medevacs. The lings and banelings are truly the killers against the Biomine. And we see some overseers popping in. We see still targetings on the medevac. And as everything is pushed away, Jaedong is permitting himself to naturally clear out the mines. See this? There's no specific targeting going on. Just as everything retreats away from the mines, he permits his units to begin to deal that damage. Still targeting largely down on the medevacs. And occasionally these Mutalisks will just kind of hit whatever's closest, but muta count is just not that high. Baneling counts being produced in large numbers. And when they're all finished, Jaedong elects to engage. So I want you just to kind of see the Baneling numbers. Here's 7 right here. And Jaedong doesn't quite begin producing more Banelings right now. Or excuse me, yes he does. Sorry, there are so many combat moments in this game. I must be jumbling them all together. Oh wait, no, I'm not lying. Okay, so we see Jaedong making all these Banelings. And what we're going to see also consistently throughout this example of things gone awry is that the Banelings are generally going to be rolling in pretty large troops. So there we kind of had a move in and a pull back. But here we have every single Baneling that we own rolling on in. And as we send them in, we see these Banelings moving. Now, this doesn't actually seem like a huge point that I'm making about the Banelings, but we're going to see it highlighted pretty strongly right here. These Banelings connected beautifully. But notice that if they did not connect beautifully, these Banelings are still quite a ways out from being finished. And in fact, these Banelings really just finish in time to re-engage Terran in a perfect position. The Terran has already reestablished his control. This is disastrous. So see, by the time these banelings finished and are ready to move out again, Terran's already reestablished control. It hardly looked like a, dramatic move-in, but we see there's some banelings getting started as the big roll-in occurs. And here, oh no, we have no tool available to continue shoving back. Mutalisks still targeting the medevacs. I think we've seen enough examples here. I mean, Jaedong's still holding on, but it doesn't really look or feel like Jaedong's crushing this and doing damage back. We don't see Jaedong taking another base. We see Polt taking another base in the midst of all this. Alright. I don't think there's a need to repeat myself with this thing up. Oh yeah, see. There are broadly periods where Jaedong just doesn't have banelings available. The muta count was never so high. So we're seeing... okay, we're going to do the recap of this segment, and then we're going to do the recap of both segments. So the recap of the micro segment, the control segment. What's going on? We're seeing Jaedong producing banelings in patches. Actually, I'll come to the banelings in a bit. We're seeing Jaedong flood Zerglings out of all his hatches, and his money's low. Cool. We're just going to be building a lot of Zerglings because we have the larva too. No big deal. Everything seems to make sense there. We are also seeing that Jaedong is using his Mutalisks largely to target the medevacs. And if there's any front stragglers, he'll use the Mutalisks there too. The big tool, though, is the banelings that we're seeing out of Jaedong. He's making 7 or 8 banelings at a time and then just rolling them in. And whenever the roll-in begins, he makes another 7 or 8 banelings. As a result, we see the muta count for Jaedong never getting too high. 10 to 13. I think it goes as high as like 15 at one point. That's about it. Cool. I was trying to do the double this thing, but instead I kind of gave the reverse finger, so I'm sorry about that. We're going to be noting these because in the game that we're going to watch in parts 2 and 3, which is Scarlett vs. Bomber on Whirlwind, we're going to see Scarlett do some very interesting and some very different maneuvers with these Mutalisks. A very different count in the number of Mutalisks. Very different utilization of the banelings. Cool stuff. So, let's go ahead and recap part 1. We talked a little bit about Biomine and what the big problem is. Biomine's really, really good. Just keeps hammering away at the bases, and it feels like we're just getting whittled away. In the instant we have some momentum as Zerg, we find that the Terran has taken another base. And so in the first half, we looked at the build order. What's going on up to 12 minutes? And we saw 3 distinct timings. By 6 minutes, we got 3 queens spread and creep. We got a 3rd hatch going down. We got some Zergling speed coming up. 7.5 minutes. We have an extra geyser mining gas to get the layer. We have those 1-1 upgrades coming. And then I'm just going to blast right ahead to 11 minutes. That's where everything else is done. We have all 6 gas geysers about to be done. We have Spire en route. We have our macro hatch en route. We're even getting ready to take a 4th base. And the last thing that I need to note about the build order segment that I'm not even going to try to attempt without showing visuals. Oh, for God's sake, just load it. Load it, damn it. I'm just going to show the creep spread. Here's the creep spread. Hell, you know what? There's the creep spread. Look at this beautiful creep spread. And we can just sort of measure across and say it's about 1/3 of the way across the map. It's 12 minutes at this 12-minute time. So cool. We have that. We're going to be talking about the contrast in this next game coming up. And the second part, we talked all about the general micro techniques of the Dong, which I'm still going to repeat again. Muta numbers not particularly high, focusing on medevacs. Banelings rolling in groups of 7 to 8 to engage. Mines being picked off incidentally after he has pushed back the bio. The big focus is on the bio. The focus is on the bio. Oh my God, the number of establishing shots in this daily is obscene. But of course, we need these to truly appreciate how excellent Scarlett is. Because it's still going to be Lings and Banelings and Mutalisks, but now that we've identified these qualities, we'll see in part 2 that it's a whole different game altogether. The last thing I just want to note, as we're heading in, I'm going to go to the ever tragic 18-minute mark, just so we can get a chance to see what that mini-map looks like. Here to mini-map. Let's go ahead and look at it from Jaedong's point of view. We see some huge holes in vision where the push is coming. But we see decent enough map coverage otherwise. So when we come back in part 2, we're going to be hopping straight into a sweet game between Scarlett and the Dong. Ah! No, excuse me, Scarlett and Bomber. Ah! Stay tuned, we'll be back. Let's do a really short break. Actually, no, I need to use the restroom, so we'll be back in like 90 seconds. I'll even wash my hands.